Ladies and gentlemen, to present tonight's Achievement Award, please welcome Executive Vice President, IBM, John Kelly.
Well, good evening. What an honor to be here with so many incredibly innovative people. I think we ought to give them one more round of applause. I also want to recognize the Edison Committee and all the work that they put into selecting all of these wonderful innovators. I know it's a tremendous amount of work, but it clearly pays off, and it's a stunning array of innovation. Now, I'm here to introduce tonight's awardee, the 9th Chairman, President, and CEO of the IBM Corporation in our 108 years. So it's a very special position, as you can tell. And in the spirit of Edison, Ginny Rometty took on the role of being our chairman back in 2012. And whereas former new CEOs and chairmen would do an employee broadcast from their office in our corporate headquarters in Armonk, where do you think Ginny Rometty went on her first day as CEO? To IBM Research, to honor the innovation of our wonderful people and to send a message that she was going to reinvent IBM yet again based on technology, cloud technology, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing. And from that day onward, Ginny put her energy and her heart into reinventing IBM. She also, frankly, put her money where her mouth is. She invested over $35 billion in research and development from 2012 to this date. $35 billion. Now, you might ask, like she asks me every day, well, what do I get for $35 billion? And let me just give you 3 things plus 1. Ginny likes everything in threes if you know her. Number 1, in the year before she took on the CEO position in 2011, IBM was issued 6,000 patents. That may seem like a gigantic number, but this past year, IBM was issued over 9,000 patents. That's a patent every hour. In 2011, the year before she became chairman and CEO, we had an artificial intelligence system called Watson, which was essentially a game machine, as you saw in the game of Jeopardy. Fast forward to last year, that game machine was trained in healthcare and medicine and served over 100,000 cancer patients and their doctors, and it doubled the number of women with breast cancer that entered clinical trials at the Mayo Clinic. In number 3, in 2011, the 2 largest supercomputers in the world were in Japan and China. Last year, Ginny delivered not 1, but the 2 largest supercomputers in the world in the United States to Oak Ridge National Laboratory and Lawrence Livermore. Each of those computers, as you heard in the video, which won one of the awards, is capable of performing 200 billion calculations 1,000,000 times a second. Stunning performance. And they're also the largest and most important artificial intelligence machines. And the plus 1 is the quantum system. Under Ginny's leadership, IBM is the only company in the world to have a commercially available on-the-cloud quantum computer. Now, that's a lot of technology. That's a lot of technology. But the second thing that Ginny focuses on is people. There is not a more caring person in the corporate world than Ginny Rometty. During her time, she has created a P-Tech transition program for high school students to be trained and enter the workforce, even without a 4-year degree. She has promoted over 500 100 IBM Fellows and Distinguished Engineers, which is the premier top of the IBM company, with record diversity. And during that time, she has also set, I think, the lead and the trend in what we need to do to be responsible for this incredibly powerful technology. I found a quote from Edison which I think really reflects how Ginny thinks about things. Edison said, "What man's mind can create, man's character can control." And as we invented these technologies, it was Ginny who said to us, we must usher in these technologies in a responsible way. No one embodies more character than Ginny Rometty. She was the first to stand up and state the principles of IBM around privacy and data and the proper use and the improper use of artificial intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, a very special innovator on a global scale, IBM Chairman, President, and Chief Executive Officer, Ginny Rometty. Ginny, please join me on the stage.
Those are more than generous comments. And I have to tell you, they're very ironic comments. When they introduced John, they didn't tell you that's Dr. John Kelly. And in fact, Dr. John Kelly is actually one of the greatest innovators in the world, for those of you that know him. It is John that invented almost every piece of modern semiconductor history that IBM has had. He's the father of Watson, and he is the grandfather, uncle of quantum. And honestly, I am just his banker. So it is, so really, this is an award as well to him. And so just a couple minutes I'll get to share with you, because I'm also very humbled by that award. I saw so many great examples up here that I too wish I had right away. But I must say, it's an award I would also share, if you'll allow me, with my husband who's here, and with, well, you don't need to clap for him. I don't. Oh, yeah. And more importantly, my colleagues, okay? Now, those we can clap for, all my colleagues that are here. Because if I might, and honestly, and to my husband, you know, there are many different inventions up there about education. And Professor Carr, who was up here, is Northwestern University, where I got my university degree. And when I left Northwestern with an engineering degree, I went to work for General Motors. But I soon found, while I liked cars, I wasn't passionate about them. And it is my husband who said, well then, if all you love is applying technology to something, why don't you just apply to IBM? He said, I have a friend who works there. Let me just call his father. And, well, this is why he takes credit for my career. And that was the beginning. But it was something else that I could see in IBM. And have always believed IBM had a purpose in this world. And while others will come and others will go, I've also always believed it would be a different world without IBM, which is why I've stayed. And to my colleagues that are here, they're at all different tables here. You heard many of their inventions here. But the reason I wanted to accept this honor, it is a true honor from those who picked it, it's to honor their innovation, because they work their hearts out for this type of innovation, and they're dedicated to changing the world. So whether it would have been landing the man on the moon, or whether it's almost every foundational piece of technology that is in modern technology today, or it is what you saw with the great promise of what artificial intelligence will do and what quantum will do. It came from my colleagues. But one other thing. To me, it's as important to honor the what of what people do as it is the how of what they do it. And I really believe that all this innovation is not possible without inclusion, and inclusion in its very broadest sense. So I'm so proud to be part of a company, and as I say, the only thing remarkable about being a woman at IBM is that it's probably not remarkable. And that I go back and I looked at some of the dates. It was 1935, the first professional training for women. It was 1943, the first senior vice president was a woman. It was 75 years before the American Disability Act, we hired our first disabled person. It was 11 years before the Civil Rights Act that we hired and had a policy that nothing would be for discrimination. And so it's these things that have led me to do what John said, to really work on making this an inclusive era of technology so that everyone can find a way here. You don't have to have a PhD or a university degree like all of you. And so veterans, 2,000 have been hired by IBM and back into the workforce. 125,000 kids coming through without university degrees. This is what it's going to take to make it. And I had a great honor of sponsoring for Congress. It was the support for the LGBTQ for equality, for the Equality Act, to write it on behalf of all of business. And so that, to me, is at the heart of innovation. So, I'll conclude with just a couple things. One is, would you indulge me one more minute to applaud the IBMers that are here? So if I could ask them to stand up. They're very modest. Come on. And okay, only could afford one table. Okay. And then to actually end, though, with a commitment, like we've done for 108 years, a commitment to you and to all the innovators in the world to continue to invest in innovation, make it as inclusive as possible, and really stand for what it means to be good tech in this era. And so I'll end with a quote. I didn't know John had one from Thomas Edison, too. So my partner, we're cut from the same cloth, but a different quote. He said, if we did all the things we were capable of, we would literally astound ourselves. And I think that's true. So on behalf of 350,000 IBMers, I am proud to accept this award on their behalf. Thank you to the committee for rewarding IBM. So.